I gained like 900,000 followers in like a month. And like, I always have it where I go through periods of time where it's like killing it and then I'm not killing it. You have to be happier in the times that you're not killing it than when you are killing it, and like continue to put out content, because like that's just part of it. Like, you're gonna have slow periods.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly. As always, today's podcast is powered by Surf. And this is the podcast where we teach you how to grow on social media by talking to people who have actually done it. People like David Beck, who has grown to over 10.9 million followers on TikTok at the time of this recording. I'm very excited to have you on the podcast today. David, welcome to the show.
Man, yeah, Jake, thanks so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you here, man. And where I want to start, I want to know, who was David before TikTok?
Yeah, I feel like most people now, they think of me as, social media influencer, or like the balloon guy on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, before, I was actually working as a server and a bartender, just kind of doing my thing and, just getting by, and kind of started to get into photography about, I think like 6 or 7 years ago. And that's kind of where I kind of started to mess around with the camera and everything like that. And I do like lots of trips and like, just kind of go do crazy stuff, like go hike the Stairway to Heaven for like companies and stuff. And, when I built up my following a little bit and got photos that way. And then, I was serving, bartending, all that kind of stuff. Got laid off of with COVID. And then, just kind of started making videos, and here we are today, So
You said you had a little following before on Instagram. Correct me if I'm wrong. You had around 10,000 followers, right, on Instagram?
Yeah, it was kind of like, it was never really like what it is now. Like, for a long time, I was kind of, 1,000, 2,000 followers on Instagram. Just, the friends and fam and everything like that. And as kind of, I started to do like more photography, built up my skills, get better camera, better gear and stuff like that. I ended up just kind of getting up to like 8K, and it was just sitting there forever, dude. To get to that, I was like, hitting that 10K mark for me was just like the biggest dream. And that's like I said that to myself. I was like, if there's anything, like, if I could just get to 10K, that would be like the biggest deal for me. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting how that's like changed like that. So,
well, kind of on that note, with 10K being the dream, I think I found this quote. I'm pretty sure it's like deep in your Instagram is where I found this, but I could be wrong. But it said that you always wanted to have a big following for forever because you thought that you had a voice and a personality that would do well online and had a message of encouragement and going after your dreams. So I'm curious, like, why did you have that self-belief in yourself?
Yeah, so the whole thing with like encouragement and wanting to be somebody who I'm not anywhere near the top or anything like that, but I wanted to always have an audience, have something to say, because growing up, I always felt like I wanted to include people and wanted to kind of bring people along my journey, whether that was like in person or online, stuff like that. And I grew up, I think like, and a lot of people grow up too with like anxiety and that kind of stuff. And I feel like that was like a huge part of my story is, kind of the side that people don't see. Like, I think, just kind of like, it was always such a huge struggle for me, especially like, I never really pieced it together until I was in high school, and I realized like, damn, like I had some like pretty bad anxiety growing up, and it led to like a lot of problems in my life. And I feel like if I can kind of get through that struggle, if I can, put myself out there and kind of like almost like you have to like break through those kind of like chains of anxiety to like get to that next level, instead of having it kind of hold you back and kind of keep you in the place that you don't want to be in. So that's kind of like my whole message is I really want to encourage people to live out their dreams. I think I know the quote that you're talking about too, like just hidden in the archives, man. But yeah, that's kind of always been my vision is, whether that's, somebody I run into on the street or somebody that's following my social media, I always want them to know that, nothing, that kind of stands in their way can hold them back if they don't let it.
Kind of two things based on that. One is I just appreciate you being willing to kind of share that openly. Like I know that can't always be an easy thing. So just being comfortable sharing that, one, I appreciate that. And two, I respect that after having gone through that, your response to having gone through that difficult time is like, I want to help other people who are going through it. Cause I know that's not everyone else's reaction necessarily. So to have that reaction, I think is really cool.
Yeah. And I think too, like, and it's not cause like, obviously, I have a little bit of a following, and I think sometimes you can be like, oh, I went through such a tough time. And it's like, I actually legitimately had like such a rough go with it when I was a kid. And so, and I feel like I've always kind of like maintained that level of like authenticity, like with my personality. Like, dude, I could care. Like, I really appreciate the following. I appreciate all that kind of stuff. But like, really, at the end of the day, like, I don't care about that kind of stuff. Like, I care about people, and I care about what you're passionate about, what my friends are passionate about. Like, I care about that kind of side of people, because like it's all kind of fluff at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And if you're not happy in person and, kind of pursuing what does make you happy, that's kind of like, that's the only thing that's really gonna, I don't know, like lead you down like a fulfilling road. Right. So.
And how do you maintain that kind of, I don't know if self-awareness is the right word, but like as you grow and like you hit such huge, like huge numbers, like again, over 10 million, closing in on 11 million right now. How do you maintain kind of that self-awareness to make sure you're still worried about other people and worried about the things that, not that the following doesn't matter, but worried about the things that matter outside of the phone?
Yeah, 100%, man. I think like I'm a Christian dude too. So it's like growing up, I was like a youth leader volunteer, for kind of a church organization and everything like that. And so I feel like I like developed the skills to be able to be, um, like self-aware, and also just like encouraging, like you were saying, and like try to be selfless in that. And so I think a lot of the time my perspective isn't about me and like, oh, like what can I do to look cool? Because I think that is a problem these days, is like, you get people on social media who like immediately get this like massive following, and then they kind of just don't know who they are or like what to do. So like, they get a little like that taste for fame, and then they kind of like they put all of their identity in, what they do. And like, so, oh, I'm a social media influencer, and people want to take pictures of me, people want to come up to me and like, you know all that kind of stuff. And so I think it's not about, um excuse me, it's not about let like people have it go to their head. Like, I don't think that that's it. I just think that people just don't know what to do. um and like I said, like it's never been really about the following. I thought 10K was going to be sick, but when you hit those kind of like those numbers, you realize, like, even for yourself, you probably know, like as you've built up your podcast, all that kind of stuff, like the numbers is cool to see, but it's not really what drives you. Because like, you know, at the end of the day, if you're not like creating things that you're passionate about and like following kind of down that path, then like the following's just like, I don't know. You have to focus on like developing your character as a person beforehand, so that when you do, gain that following, you have a message to say to your audience, that like that's like a wholesome, like good thing, because you do see it where it's like, people kind of like will like clout chase and kind of like do whatever to get numbers. Hey, and I'm not saying, yeah, I mean, I pop balloons for a living, right? Like, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but it's, yeah, it definitely, yeah, I think that's kind of where it came from, is like, I really kind of like focused on like building myself up. I did have those hard times to like find my identity and like who I am, outside of all of it. So I think that's kind of, where I'm at with that.
And I think that's an important thing to note, that it's finding your identity, finding your character outside of that. And that's why I have a lot of, like, first I interviewed this comedian who opened for Frank Sinatra back in the day. And that's what one thing he said. He's like, you're never going to get famous and a lot of money, and that's going to fix your problems. It's actually going to amplify them and make them worse. So that's why you have to do that first. And that's why I have a lot of empathy, especially for like younger kids. Like I know Charlie's obviously like the obvious example, just with how young she was when she blew up. But like, any kid at 16, 17 struggles to find their identity, but now trying to figure that out with an audience of millions, tens, hundreds of millions of people watching you, I can't even imagine how hard that is. So I have a lot of empathy for kids in that situation who blow up so young.
I 100% agree. And that's the thing, is I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like, could you imagine if you're, 14 years old and you had like 50 million followers, like I feel like that would immediately become your identity because you're like still like growing up and like figuring out who you are, right? So I guess in that sense, I am thankful that I don't know, and I think you can't deny the fact that when you do get following, you want people to know who you are. And you do sometimes, like, don't tell me if you have, over 10 million followers, that there aren't times where want to be recognized. You want that. And it's like that. I think that it's that feeling like you want to be accepted by people. You know what I mean? Especially if you get like hate online too. Um, so yeah, I think that there's kind of like always that struggle, and you really like need to make sure that you're finding the right balance, and you're finding things outside of just what you do to like and that's why like as a Christian, I like I don't identify as a social media influencer. It's a part of what I'm doing and all that kind of stuff, but it's not like who I am.
Yeah, it's exactly. There's a distinction between who you are and what you do, and I feel like a lot of people blend that line, and then they can't find the difference between that. But you mentioned too, like obviously having more than 10 million followers, like you want people to recognize you, want people to know who you are. So does that? And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you live in Vancouver Island, so I'm assuming you don't get recognized like every single time you leave the house. Like, does that trip you up as well? Where like the community around you doesn't necessarily know that you have over 10 million followers and you live on the island?
Yeah, it's pretty funny, man. Like, I mean, because like and that's the thing, like you think like, oh, like if you have that number, like that you would be getting, to be fair, I think that there's probably a lot of people who do know, who I am and that kind of stuff. But in like most of my followings from the States or kind of like all over the world, and yeah, being on Vancouver Island, like I have had people recognize me and stuff like that because I think everyone's using TikTok these days, right? But it's almost kind of like nice because that way, like I don't know, it's not really like a focus of mine, like So, but yeah, when somebody does recognize you and like they want to like tell you that they love your stuff or whatever, like that's cool. I haven't gotten anybody telling me that they don't like my stuff in person, so that's good. But some people may be thinking it, but like trying to show my grandpa what I do for a living. He's like, "What are you doing?" Like, you know what I mean? It's just funny things like that. But yeah, on the island, it's definitely like and say I get into a conversation with somebody who maybe they don't know me, and we end up bringing it up, kind of thing, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I've seen your videos all over and stuff." So it's more kind of like that, or if some people don't want to come up to you because they're like nervous or whatever. So they're like, "Oh, I don't want to like be annoying or something," but I'm like, "No, like I would love you to say hey," like you know what I mean. So I think that, yeah, it's just not really a big deal either way.
And so, like, kind of back to you're trying to explain to your grandpa what do you do. I'm curious, like, how did you even figure out you could do this? Like, so you aesthetically please, like, I didn't even know like in the intro how to properly explain it, so I just kind of glossed over. It's like, can you like properly explain what it is you do here, and like how did you come up with that as something you could do online?
That you're like kind of living my problem 24/7, right? Like, it's so weird to be like, I don't know. I try to not say like I pop balloons for a living because like that's like probably like the easiest thing to say. Um, and it's just like an awkward conversation to have with people because like some people just don't really understand like social media and that kind of stuff, or like satisfying or ASMR kind of type videos. So um, I'm still figuring that out, but I guess March 2020, there's kind of a trend going around where there's this guy named oh, I don't want to mess his name up. Some Corey Funk, I think that's what his name is. Shout out to him for the original um, basic idea. But it was like this trend, like anything on TikTok. And it was like a 3-layer water balloon. And after that, I'm not sure if you went like deep into the archives of my TikTok, but man, I was like, when I started on TikTok, I was just like, oh, it would be the coolest thing if I blew up and like all that kind of stuff, right? And it was pretty try hard, to be honest. So it was a little bit try hard, but yeah. So like kind of the balloon idea, like there's like this like 3 layer balloon. You cut through one, cut through the other, and then you like pop the water balloon. That was kind of like going around and people are trying it out. I was like, oh, like I bet I could try that and like see just for, yeah, just like trying something out to see if it would work. And then the first video kind of did well, I think, maybe got like a couple 100,000. And then I tried it with an axe. I only did like a 2 layer one, and the video got like 87 million views, which is kind of crazy. Like, I mean, that's like not the top video of mine or anything like that. And that's like, I've had multiple like that, but at the start, like it was pretty wild because, the reason I think why it went viral is because like the balloon kind of like lagged at the end before popping, and I didn't even like tap it with the axe. It just kind of like bounced a few times, and then like exploded like lag. And so I think people kind of connected with that, and they're like, oh, like 10 ping balloon or whatever, you know what I mean? Like how it like lags and stuff. So um, yeah, and then like I think I gained from that video, like it just kept going and going, right? And I think I gained a couple 100,000 followers or like 100,000 followers from that. And that just like, dude, once I got the taste of like, hey, like this could be a thing, like I just, wanted to continue to put out content, and that was just an outlet for me. So I stuck with the niche, and that's like, I would love to talk about that a little bit too, because um, kind of the niche aspect, and like, this whole thing is like, how do you actually make it on social media? And it's the niche, man. I feel like for me, like I just committed to the balloons, and like I'm not like some sort of freak who's obsessed, with balloons and stuff. Like just I saw this thing, it was so funny this one time, this guy that like I think he married a balloon or something. I was like, oh my god, man, like holy shit. I was like, I hope people don't think I'm some sort of like balloon freak or something, because I'm not. I'm a normal dude, man. Like once I committed to that, like people were watching it every single time, and I just, I figured it was kind of like the route for me to go. And then yeah, I mean, just pulling inspiration from people around me and stuff, and videos, and yeah, like little things here and there. And if you see an idea that kind of is cool, kind of maybe try it out for your video, see if that works or not, and kind of make tweaks along the way. But yeah, to get to the point where it is now, like it's funny. It actually like took a ton of effort to do and to figure it out. And I think that's why like people aren't in the same niche as I am. I think there's one other guy who does it, but like I feel like, and I respect it. I respect sticking to a niche and like and putting out content. Um, so yeah, I think it's tough because like I think a lot of those ideas are my ideas. So it's tough sometimes to you know what I mean when you see people like copying your stuff, like. And but I think that at the same time, it's cool to see other people, and I think that that's like a little bit of like a pride thing, because like um so say, if you have like a style of your podcast that you're like, damn, I like this is my thing. And if you see somebody else kind of like copy it, you're like almost a little bit like that's kind of my style, my thing. But you also have to like realize that like, imitation is like biggest form of flattery, you know what I mean? And like having like that perspective is so much healthier, because like, dude, like everyone's trying to make it, everyone's trying to get a following and that kind of stuff. And you just and that's the thing, is like I want to encourage people to live their best life and that kind of stuff, and that's what you want to do. Like I fully support that. And so yeah, but I think that there is a little bit of pride wrapped up in that. I mean, also you have to think about it, like I got the original idea from that guy Corey Funk, so it's like the first video idea. And so, and sticking to that niche, so like it all comes around like full circle, right? So um but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. I have the I try not to, it's not that I don't want to give away like secrets of how to do it specifically, because it's really not that complicated. But at the same time, like it's not about the content necessarily that I'm creating. I think it's come to the point now where people really enjoy that kind of stuff. But I think being consistent is the biggest thing. Finding a niche. Like I wish I could like write down a formula just to like give to people who complain about like not having following. Like, oh, I can never get following. It's like, well, like it's not really that. And I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. That it's really like not that difficult if you are consistent. you're willing to like put in the time, you find a niche that kind of not everybody's doing. Yeah, you have like decent visuals, and you're like I said, like you're a good person. Like be a good person, and people will like that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the secret, I guess.
Yeah, and it's and because like you saw that video and you found your niche by trying different things out. Because I know the balloon videos weren't the first thing you posted. You tried some other things before that, and so it was once you did the balloon videos and you saw them working, that was like your signal that like, oh, these are working, and you doubled down on it.
Yeah, just like, and that's the thing is, I follow a lot of those guys like Gary Vee and all the guys who are in the space themselves, but um, like they all kind of say the same things, man. You know what I mean? It's all kind of like, yeah, just like finding something that one isn't gonna like kill your joy. You know what I mean? Because like if you hate what you're doing, dude, like no matter what you're doing, you're just gonna fizzle out at the end. And like, yeah, it's like you have to find something that's exciting enough that it beats what you're already doing. So like for me, I didn't want to serve forever. I didn't want to be a bartender. I was a terrible bartender, horrible bartender. I'm not kidding. If you want an old fashioned, bud, don't come to me because I made the worst old fashions. Um, I'm not. Yeah, I got hired on the spot without any experience, and I hated it. I hated it. So stressful. But anyways, it's yeah, that's the thing. Double down on content. Yeah, just like find out what you like to do, and like be a personality, and like I don't know, be okay with being weird. Um, like when you have ideas, put them out into the world because they're sitting in your head and they're not gonna come into the world unless you make it happen. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at.
I feel like people, when they have a lot of ideas in their head, sometimes they like to keep them up there because in their head, it also goes really well. And sometimes when you put your ideas out there, they don't go as well as you thought they were going to go in your head. So how did you kind of overcome that kind of fear of things might not potentially working? Like, how did you overcome that? Like for just being on camera for a lot of people can be nerve wracking. So how did you kind of overcome that?
Well, when I don't talk in my I'm just kidding. No, but it's so funny. Yeah, so I think like the main thing for people is they don't want to put something out and have other people um, judge them. That's the biggest thing, 100%, in my opinion, because I don't think it's people doubting their own personalities and that kind of stuff. It's more like people are worried about judgment and people are worried about not being accepted. And dude, the hate comments on my videos, like if I had that perspective, like, oh, I care what people think, dude, like I would be done like 2 years ago. Cause like I got ripped apart every single day, all day, getting terrible DMs, like horrible stuff. So it's like, I mean, don't care, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, I think that's the thing is, when people have them, I have an example, dude. If anybody is ever like, oh, damn, I have an idea, but I'm scared about putting it out. Tell you about an idea that didn't work out for me. That was pretty hilarious. It wasn't on camera. Thank the Lord for that. But so I filled up a, two balloons with, or maybe it was one. There was just one, but it's big. Filled up a balloon with shaving cream. Like I think it was like 2 or 3 cans of shaving cream inside this balloon and food coloring. And I was living in an apartment at the time. And I think that maybe you can see where this is going, but I was walking down the hall to go outside to film my like normal videos, and I get into the stairwell and it just explodes like in the stairwell. And I'm talking like, dude, you know how much like shaving cream is in 2 or 3 like cans of shaving cream? It's like a lot of shaving cream. And so I like, I just like walked in and just like out of nowhere, it just like spontaneously combusted. And like I was like head to toe in shaving cream and food coloring. Like the stairwell was like just like I don't it looked like somebody was like doing a deep clean on the stairwell because it was literally covered. And like it's an apartment complex. Like people were coming home from work. Like what am I supposed to do? Like I just like felt like so funny. Like I felt like such an idiot because I'm like, how do you explain this away. Like there's no explaining this. It's not like, oh, I dropped like a can of shaving cream and it just exploded. Like that wouldn't happen. Like I would have to tell people that like I was carrying a balloon filled with shaving cream and food coloring and it explode. Like that's such a weird thing. It's like until you see it on camera and like see like what I'm supposed to be doing, it's just like the weirdest thing. So like I'm like even like transporting like my balloons from my apartment to where I film. It's just like weird. Like what is this guy doing? Like he's carrying like these like balloons all the time. Doesn't seem to be working. Like actually like going to a job or something. I mean, it is my job, but people don't know that. And like, yeah, it's just funny, man. Like just a fun, funny lifestyle. And like, yeah, when you have setbacks like that, it's like you look back and you're like, that was hilarious. Now I can tell it on a podcast, right? But like, it's yeah, just like putting like who knows if it's going to be a good idea or not. Dude, I put out videos that I thought were the dumbest ideas like of all time, and they've gotten like 100 million views. So it's like I don't know. You can't like yeah. Gary Vee says like quality is subjective. And I think that is true. Like somebody could love what you're doing, somebody could hate what you're doing. But at the end of the day, it's content. And if you put it out, you never know what can happen, right? So,
And like you said, sometimes it's been like the videos you thought were the dumbest idea that have done the best. But I'm sure the reverse happens as well, where you think you have like a banger video that doesn't do anything. So like, how do you handle that fluctuation with the career path that you have? That like some days you're riding high, and other days it's very peaks and valleys. Like, how do you handle that constant
you
fluctuation?
know exactly what we're talking about here too. Like, I feel like you've probably had that. And like, yeah, dude, I'm 100% like, yeah, you could imagine, yeah, you could be like, interviewing someone like super famous and have it good, just do nothing. And then you could, I don't know, interview somebody and, it goes off, right? Like just kind of like that. And for me, it's like, yeah, it's just like one of those things, dude, that like, the valleys, dude, the valleys and like are just like, it's so funny because you're like, it, and like, that's the thing is I literally like, pop balloons for a living. I get to work with my dream brands. I get to do all this kind of stuff. But like mentally, sometimes it's so funny because I'm like, oh, like my video didn't do that well, and like I'm like, I'll like be like all like down about it and stuff. It's like, well, in reality, it got like 300,000 views, and it's not that, it's not that like bad. And I just think it's just funny because in that creative space, it's like you almost have to like not take yourself so seriously because like my wife sometimes she'll be like, David, like shut up. Like you're like you have like your dream job, you've got like everything you possibly want right now, and like you're just like moping about because your balloon video didn't do that well. Something you got to pull yourself out, and like you just have to like not worry about that kind of stuff. I see kind of like all content like a slot machine, and there's no guarantees, right? And so you got to like play the machine, over and over again until you win. And like that win could be big, right? So like, I feel like that's like such like one of those like, never stop believing, never, don't ever doubt yourself, work harder. No, but like, that's just the truth is you got to like continue to play the game, right? And like, yeah, I think that's like the fun of it, right? Like, cause yeah, it's almost like the part of it that's like exciting is like almost not doing well because you're like, you have to play with like fire, I don't know. It's kind of exciting in that way too.
There's a couple things you said there. I mean, I think the one thing is like the perspective of that like your bad videos now where you're like, oh man, like if you told yourself that when you're getting these views when you had 8K on Instagram, like even your worst viewed video, you'd probably be like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's kind of it's tough too because like once like you don't want to turn into a couch potato and get lazy with your content though. Like so it's tough, but like at the end of the day, dude, like who cares if your video gets like less views? Like who like literally nobody cares at all. Just you and like you have to like put up those mental blockers and like not let yourself get down on those things because like those are the things that like stop you from putting out the next video and like that's just like the truth in my truth But yeah, I think that that's like the biggest thing for me is just keep on grinding. You know what I mean? Just like keep on like saucing the videos out into the universe, and hopefully you hit big and get the cash prize. But
But with that of like that stopping you of posting, you know what I mean? Like if you get too caught up in it, it'll stop you from posting. When you have that first one that pops off, I know it's at 87 million today. I think it was like over a million in the first 24 hours. Is there a hesitancy to follow that video up? Because now there's pressure that like, oh man, what if my next video doesn't do this well? Like, is that something you had to deal with?
no, no, it's so funny. Just like I was like, oh my gosh, like I just like a little giddy kid, like, oh my goodness, 1.5 million or whatever. I was like, holy crap! Like it was just like I was like just like this little like ball of joy, and like stoked to have that happen. So, and I think I gained like 20,000 followers, and I was like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean? I was like freaking out, and like I knew from that moment on that like I was like, I'm committing to this, and like regardless, even if it only got I think my videos were getting like 20 or 30,000 views at that time after that video, right? And I'm like, if every single video is doing that, then like that just compounds, man. So yeah, I've never really been like, oh, oh, I have pressure or pressure. I have pressure. What the hell is pressure? But no, I've never had pressure on myself to be like, oh, this next video has to go off. Yeah, it's just tough with like brand deals though, because you want those videos to do well, but like just yeah, you can't be too hard on yourself. So
Before we talk brand deals, when did you take the jump to full time? Was it just kind of like a natural progression once you kind of got let go from or laid off from work due to the pandemic that you just kind of stepped into this because there was some traction building?
yeah, best thing that's ever happened to me is getting laid off. Because I feel like it's so funny though, because like I was so like I was losing shifts because of COVID. Like, at not that I had it or anything. It's just like everyone was getting laid off, and I was like, "No, give me more shifts." All this kind of stuff, and it's just like I just feel like it's so funny how like attached to like our jobs we are, and like how like you know we're so worried about security and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I live obviously. I'm not. You said you're from Ottawa.
Ottawa.
Sorry, Ottawa.
Yeah,
Yes. See, I got a good memory, man. I'm good.
you do.
But yeah, like it's just like we're in North America, man. I know that not everybody's as fortunate, but like yeah, we like are so tied to like our jobs and like making sure that we're secure in our lives and all that kind of stuff. When like really like and I've been blessed because I have just a great support system and everything, but like yeah, getting laid off is just like it was one of the best things that could happen to me. And I just like started to create content every single day, right? And that was like my like yeah, just like what I was doing. And I had the time to do it. And because of that, that kind of like snowballed into something like really great. And I think that kind of goes to show that like if you invest in yourself and you invest in content that you believe in, then like there's huge payoff there. It's like when you're half-assing it, if that makes sense, that it doesn't go off. And like if you're like, I'll go out, I'll make one video like a week or something or whatever. Like I think that you need quantity. I'm reading this book right now called Atomic Habits by James Clear or something. I forget who it's by, but he talks about like how there's like this photography class and at the end of this semester they were graded on like whether there's like you could either have a perfect picture, it had to be 100% perfect, or you could take a bunch of them and like get better and better. And like the people at the end who took more were more successful. So I think that that's kind of the way I see it. It's just as much content as I can put out, like I feel like that's what I'll try to do. So but yeah, it was good, man. Getting laid off was great. And then to go full time, it was kind of like just that natural, progression towards that. I started like I gained like a couple 100,000 followers, and then yeah, I was like working with a company at the time, doing like I was on a retainer, and so like that was like part of my income. But then I got more people reaching out about like song, kind of like integration with my videos and everything. It's just like it was so smooth because it just, yeah, ended up being that way. And I didn't have to be making a ton of money. It's just, I knew that I wanted to do it full time. So like, you know, if I'm only making enough for like food and rent and all that kind of stuff, like that's totally fine to me, man. I would way rather be doing something that, I'm passionate about than, making way more money somewhere else, right?
And like I have a quote here written down of yours that like backs that. That's not just like a, because some people might hear that like, well, it's easy for you to say with almost 11 million followers on TikTok, but like I have this quote from August of 2018. It's a little long, so just bear with me here. But this was
Dude,
from
I love how you pulled this out, man. This is actually like, yeah, it's crazy, like to hear quotes from myself. I have never had that happen.
So August 2018, to be completely real, I don't really want that much from life, but before you judge, hear me out. I think a lot of us go through life wanting a lot of money, a lot of friends, a lot of people that like us, and the list goes on. All I really want is some real relationships with real people who want to make this world a little better every day. And I want to love my life the best that I can. Whether I'm rich or poor, well-known or not, and whatever I end up doing for work, I just want to appreciate every moment and use love as my tool for making others smile. And I want a simple life to the fullest. And I think like you've done that. You know what I mean? Like, well, everything you're saying on this perspective you have isn't like, now that I'm here, I have this perspective. It's like, this was the perspective you had before that. Kind of what we talked about at the beginning with having kind of your character develop before that. This has been kind of with you from the jump.
100%, man. Yeah, I think that, yeah, and I wish like it's crazy because like not as many people know me, like 2018 me. Like that's still who I am, right? But like those, even like before that, dude, like yeah, 2013, 2012 to now was just like a totally different person than I was before, right? So it's, yeah, that's always been who I am. And now being in front of the camera, doing what I'm doing, I don't talk a lot. So it's a lot of like entertainment, but like that's kind of like what I want out of life. Like and I genuinely, it's not just about like just being so happy, because I think happiness is subjective. Like you can have happy moments and that kind of stuff, but I think it's like genuinely like, one is contentment. I've been on contentment for a while now, and I feel like that's like, it's always like that battle between like myself and wanting more and being like, because like, it would be cool to hit 20 million, 30 million, all that kind of stuff, whatever, but like, dude, if you aren't content and if you're not grateful for what you have, dude, like, oh man, like you just miss out on so much like life, like, you know, online. If you're so focused on, my presence online, all this kind of stuff, dude, like you just miss out on like what's really important. It's a part of it, but I think like the real, kind of like the meat and potatoes, you know what I mean? Is just meat and potatoes, but is just finding joy in your in your everyday, and wanting, yeah, if dude, and like that, there's a quote in the Bible too. I hope I don't mess it up, but like it's kind of something that it's always stuck with me, is like, um if you want to be first, you got to be last. It's like along those, or it's like, if you want to be a leader, you have to be a servant. And dude, you have to be, man. And I think that that's like, whether that's like creating content, being a good friend, being a good, brother, or, sister, or, dad or mom, or grandparent, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I think that you need to like put others before yourself, and like, not think of, not like think less of yourself, but think of yourself less. Right. And like, yeah, that's like really kind of what I want to do with my content too. And that's why I try and put out so much content, because I know that there's like kids or people watching my content that are struggling with anxiety, and just need like a moment of just like distraction to kind of get away from that just for a second. And like, that's like really at the heart of it. Right. So yeah, it's definitely like a big thing for me, is to, retain that authenticity and that type of, personality to go forward.
And so with your videos, because you don't talk a lot, right? Like you don't talk a ton or really at all for the most part. Like how then do you kind of showcase who you are, your personality, your authenticity on videos when you're in front of the camera, you're behind the balloons? Like how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I did like for a long time I was doing like the encouragement stuff, right? And so I think like, or I was trying at least for, somebody to get some sort of substance out of it. But I think kind of like I've realized too, like I'm just so grateful for the following and for like the presence online. So it's like I also care about what people want to see too. Cause like I don't just want to be like, you know what, like I'm just gonna do whatever I want, and and that's cool, and you can follow that path. But like at the same time, like I don't ever want to take it for granted that I have a big following, and like if people continually want to see something, like as long as I'm not selling out, if that makes sense, you know what I mean. I think I want to be able to, entertain people and just, yeah, getting that kind of across. I think actually a part of my success is that like I don't talk, because you can watch my video and, whatever language you speak, you don't need to you don't need to like speak like a certain language to understand. Right. Um, because yeah, and like I think people can watch it and like it's kind of like a universal thing where you can like watch it and be entertained, without that. So I think that is a huge part of it. But when I talk, like I'm sure you can like see my personality in that, because it's never like serious. It's always just like me being a goofball and joking around and stuff. I am a very outgoing person in person. Um, yeah. So it's like, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, like I wonder what this guy's like in person. But like, yeah, I'm definitely like way more going. Like, I want to meet people. I want to like, form like awesome friendships and stuff like that. So it's yeah, but I don't know. I think like it's just ended up working out that way, and I'm okay with it. But
And even though you're not talking in the videos, like you're still making an impact, like you said, and an impact to over 10 million people, almost 11 million people now, which is just a crazy number of people. Like, do you ever stop and think about just how big of a number that is?
no, I can't. I don't think I'll ever be able to realize like how big of a number it is, because like you can think about it, but like really, like your brain can't really like grasp on that kind of stuff. Not that it's like, oh, that's insane that you have, you know what I mean? But it's just kind of, it's not like, wow, I'm so, I, I'm not really doing anything. Like I'm just thankful that people are following me. So, but I think that it's one of those things where it's like, it's just kind of like happened, and it's crazy to think like, yeah, like I don't know, a quarter of the population of Canada or whatever, kind of like that size is like, um, or don't fact check me on that, but um, yeah, but
It's
it's
around there. It's in there in the
yeah,
ballpark at
yeah,
least.
but it's one of those things, dude, that like, yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of happened, and it's yeah, I don't know how to comprehend it. It hasn't changed who I am, I don't think, though. I think we've, obviously touched on that and stuff, but it just has never really like been like, oh, I have 11 million. Like I've never really been like that. It's just like, oh, like that's really great. So
And like I know hitting 10 million was one of your goals for 2021. So we know you hit that. But I'm curious, did you see your face on a billboard in 2021?
no, I did not, which sucks. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think my goals have changed too. Like, I think I've had these things where I'm like, also, how'd you get, are you Nardwar? Like, how did you, how did you get that information? Where did I post that? Did I post that somewhere?
I can't remember where I would have pulled that from.
Dude, I don't
I
even,
need to
actually
get,
don't even know how you pulled that out, bro.
I honestly can't remember.
Dude, it's a pride thing, man. I'm kind of like done with that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know, like it's being, oh, I'd love to be on Billboard. Like, I mean, cool, but at the end of the day, that'll be down a month. Who cares? You know what I mean? So I think like that's cool. It's cool to have goals like that, but I'm like, I don't know. I yeah, I'm like, I think I just really want to focus more now on like, once you realize too, like once you hit those milestones, dude, like I hit 10 million and I just want something else. You know what I mean? So it's like it's not the end goal. I think that should be important. I think it should be like, who you're becoming and like who you want to become. Cause like that's the thing, you can get the thing, or you can, hit the milestone and that kind of stuff. That's cool, but like it's not the like substance, in your life. Like I don't know if that makes sense. It's hard to kind of put into words, but I think that like I'm this year I want to be more focused on contentment and those things, and like just being grateful for what I have. And if the following comes, like that's really great, but continue to work hard and like just like enjoy life like more than I ever have. Right. So
That's right. Like I was actually another British Columbian, Joey Schweitzer. He's a YouTuber, and he put up a video and was talking about just that. How like you'll never actually experience what that end goal is. Like by the time you get to the end goal, you've already figured out what experience it feels like through the process, and when you get there, you're already on to the next one. And so that's why you have to love the process because you don't actually feel what that end goal feels like because you're always going to be moving on to the next thing. That's just how we're wired as humans, though, is to always want more.
yeah, and that's the thing too. Is like, yeah, like loving your process is really great. You're not always gonna love your process. It's just you're always and like I just hate that when people are like, you just have to love every single minute of your. It's like it's just not realistic. And I think when it comes, you have to just like yeah, you have to be like focused on those things like fine, and that's why I talk about contentment so much. I know it's kind of like annoying how much I talk about it, but like it's like I don't know, one of those things where like it's really like you just have to understand like if you're in the position to be able to do what you love for a living, dude, like even if you have hard days, dude, like it's just so amazing. And the opportunities that are out there these days are just insane, right? So yeah, I think it's definitely yeah, not really focusing on that angle because like it's almost like, and that's why I like to say like you just like it's almost about not getting there that's more exciting than it is to get there. Like if you're just given things on a silver platter all the time, like you learn absolutely nothing and you expect it and you become what's the word? Yeah, entitled to it, and you're like, oh, I just deserve to be like, always getting. It's like, no, dude, you don't deserve shit. There's your swear word of the day. But yeah, you don't deserve shit, man. So you have to work hard for it, and like, if you're a good person, I think you deserve it. But you don't, you can't expect, to just get it handed to you all the time, right? So, yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at, I guess yeah, with that too.
Do you ever have a moment once you'd like, I don't know if the word made it's not the right word, but like once you were full time and you had consistent money coming in through social media, like this was your goal, like you wanted to have this, you've got this now. Was that kind of a mind twist for you? Cause like this, you've been chasing it for so long and now you kind of had that thing that you didn't necessarily know what was next. Like I've had Tyler Babin on here who was one of Gary's videographers. And that was like, he said when he got his full-time job, he like went to the stairwell and had like a moment where he was like, holy shit, this is my dream and I'm here now and I don't really know how to process that and like what comes next. Like, has that happened to you at any point where like, this is what I've wanted is to get here and now I'm here and now I don't know what to do?
Yeah, I have a little bit of a weird answer for that. I just haven't had that yet. Like, I don't, I don't know. I don't feel like I've made it. Like, I feel like I think when a lot of people are like looking at, my life and stuff, they'll be like, oh, that's like so cool or to do that for a living and that kind of stuff. But it's like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm a big deal or like I think I have to give myself credit and I don't want to belittle myself because like that's definitely something that you should never do is doubt or belittle yourself. But like I think at the same time I've never been like yeah I don't think I've ever felt like oh and I'm not saying that you can't or whatever. This is just for me. It's more like I don't really focus too much on what I've done. It's more like I just want to be in the moment and like I'm onto the next video and like focusing on how I can like how I can retain what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Because like yeah, I don't want to hit a spot where I get like complacent and be like, and I'm not. I sorry, dude. I'm not talking about that dude who you're talking about. Just for
No, yeah, no worries.
yeah, I'm totally not talking about that. But I think that it's like for myself, I'm kind of like yeah, I think when I was going full time, like first of all, I was just like, dude, this is sweet. Like, let's go. Like, let's continue to grow. I never thought I would ever hit 10 million though. And when I hit 10 million, that was like it was pretty crazy because like I had a moment in 2020 where I think I was at like 4 or 5 mil, and I was like, holy shit, it would be insane to hit 10 million. Like that would be just absolutely bonkers. And then like just the more you like gain following, you just like realize you're just like on that path and like just like the tracks, just taking you to the destination, right? So it's like, yeah, I just kind of when I hit 10 mil, I was like, cool. I think I was like, oh, I want to like, go to the casino with the boys and like, and like, selly a little, but it's yeah, just kind of I don't know. That was cool, but I think yeah, I'm just grateful to continue to be able to do it. And I will have a moment for you in a couple weeks where I break down and cry and just embrace it all. No,
You
but
gotta just let me know. You gotta
yeah,
let me know. I'll
yeah,
update the people. Hey,
yeah.
just gotta you guys know
He
David had
has
the moment.
finally realized. He has finally realized what he's doing. Yeah, his passion is complete. No, dude, but yeah, yeah, no, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for sure.
As somebody with 10 million, over 10 million, what would your advice be to someone who's struggling to kind of grow on TikTok? We talked about having a niche, but is there anything else like you would say to someone that's just struggling right now when it comes to TikTok?
I would have to say, like, dude, just stay consistent. It's not where it once was with like, oh, I'm posting a video and I'm getting 20, 30 million views. Like, it still happens. I think it's slowing down a tiny bit. People are free. I hate when people like are like, I'm shadow banned. I'm like, dude, like, also if that's you, dude, I hopefully I'm not, I'm not but it's like, dude, there's no like people are like, I'm totally shadow banned, bro. It's like, dude, there's literally no shadow ban like at all. I've like worked with TikTok directly and I asked them and they're like, no, like there's no shadow ban. People just want excuses. People want like, oh, but like I think the truth is that you have to like have slow times and you have to be struggling sometimes to get to that next level. So I'd say, if you're in a, like right now I'm in a position, I'm at like I gained like 900,000 followers in like a month. And like I always have it where I go through periods of time where it's like I'm killing it and then I'm not killing it. And it's like, it's, dude, you have to realize you have to be happier in the times that you're not killing it than when you are killing it, because like that'll just destroy your self confidence if you like think it's your fault. It's not like, dude, it's not your fault. You know what I mean? Like, chill, like take a chill pill, like relax, hang out with friends, enjoy your life, and like continue to put out content because like that's just part of it. Like you're gonna have slow periods, and like don't get in your head too much. I would honestly say like it's more mentally like it's not your fault than it is. You need to do something. Like you just need to continue to be consistent, and so um, yeah, stick to your niche, stick to what you're passionate about, continue to put out that content, be happier in those times where you're struggling or you're not gaining as much. Like you just need to like be happier in those moments because like you're gonna have that happen again. And if you're in the same position where you're like always doubting yourself, not as confident, all that kind of stuff in those times, it's just gonna eventually it's gonna be too much for you. So um yeah, that's why I don't take breaks. I don't take like any breaks when it comes to content, like which is sounds funny, but like if I'm not doing well, I'm like, give me the dirt, you know what I mean? It's like I want to be, in those tough times. I want to be in like learning from that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So um yeah, bring it on kind of. I would say just say bring it on.
Bring it on or run it, maybe?
Run it, dude. I literally
You have the tattooed on your right wrist, right?
Dude, Rory Kramer needs to watch this, bro. But I literally have his tattoo. It's so funny. I always forget about it. But dude, I was the biggest like Rory Kramer fanboy. If you know who Rory Kramer is, like, um, yeah, and like, dude, I would love to meet him. Obviously, I feel like I'm at the point now where I don't really like have fanboys, but I was definitely like, dude, Rory Kramer's like the coolest guy ever. And he's still the coolest guy ever. But like, yeah, it's so funny. Like, I don't know. It's just he actually like saw one of my TikToks and then like took a screenshot of my tattoo and posted it on his story one time. And I was like, oh, that's like kind of interesting. He's like, he saw my TikTok, but yeah, dude, you just got to run it, trademark or Kramer. So,
Well, why, like, other than being a Rory fan, why was that those two words significant enough to you to get it tattooed on your wrist?
dude, I don't know if they work. I don't know if that's significant. I don't know if that justifies getting a tattoo, dude. Like, I think it was really funny too, because like my wife, I think it's like so funny. I didn't talk to her about it, and that's totally like I don't think that you need. And we weren't married at the time, but I don't think you need to like clear everything with your girlfriend or significant other or whatever boyfriend girlfriend kind of thing. But like, I think for me, it was just like I was in that lifestyle of like I'm just fucking giving her my guy. You know what I mean? So I'm like, absolutely send in life. And like, I just was like, you know what? My wrist is looking a little bare today. So I just rip down and get a quick tat, and the rest is history. But yeah, I've always like thought that was cool. It taught me something though. Like don't, and that's the thing is like, don't try and like copy somebody else. Like, cause you're never going to be that person. Like, you can be the biggest fan or whatever, and you can like kind of live a similar lifestyle, but you need to like form your own thing,
Mm.
whether that's balloons, whether that's, being a photographer or whatever, doing podcasts. Like, I feel like that's like, you just need to like dive into the deep end of, figuring out who you are, and, yeah, and just send her full tilt, so.
I think I know the answer to this next question, but I still want to ask it. Your very first Instagram photo was captioned, "Life's good." Is it still?
Is it still, dude? Yeah, it's good, man. I feel like, yeah, just I feel like it's good. That's like what? Oh, it's that photo of me with like my backwards hat, looking at the bridge, right?
I think
I
so.
think
I
it is.
could.
Life's good. Like just that classic, cinnamon dolce latte caption, man. It's like the most, the vanilla latte caption from Dave. But yeah, dude, life's good, man. I feel like it's continuing to get better. I'm getting into sneakers these days. What? Sneakers? Crazy. Got some new Jordans fired up. Riding a little Honda Grom around, I'm into mountain biking. Life's good, man. I'm married. Got a lot of stuff going for me, and I'm just grateful to be blessed in that way, dude. So yeah, life's good.
I love that, man. I love that. For my last question, I like to flip the script a little bit. So instead of me asking the question, it's you asking the question, but it's not to me. So pretend you have a crystal ball. You can ask this crystal ball any question, you'll get the 100% honest answer. What is one question you want to know the answer to?
Like, I think if I don't know, that's tough, dude, because like sometimes you don't want to know the answer, you want to figure it out. Um, Anybody who's given advice from their parents will know that, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's like I don't want to, be told I shouldn't spend all my money on Pokemon cards or something. But like, I think that I would probably ask, you know, yeah, I would say, what can I do to become the most like, I don't know. I think the most like impactful person to the people around me. I mean, maybe online as well. To be able to like, yeah, help people in like the best way, but to also like retain, a level of like deep joy in my life. I don't know. I think I'd probably ask something like that, just because like, yeah, I'm not really interested in, how I can get 100 million followers. And like, I'm more concerned is like, am I actually becoming a person that like people not only like look up to, but that like impacts people? So I would say that like that's probably, along the lines of something that I would ask for sure.
I love that. I love that. And I want to say appreciate you for your time on the podcast. I think we go for another hour, so maybe we'll have to run it back at some point. But I want to give you the floor, man. Where can the people find you? Plug anything and everything you got right now.
100%, man. Yeah. So if you're looking for your daily dose of balloon content, hit me up on TikTok at David Beck. Kind of like the soccer player, but just no ham. So some people call me David No Ham. But it's that's my TikTok. My Instagram, David Allen Beck. People don't know how to spell Allen. Alan. David Allen Beck. And then on YouTube, um, it's David Beck on YouTube. I guess I'm verified on Snap too. Don't even know why. I don't have any followers or whatever they're called, but I'm on Snap too. I think it's something David Allen Beck or something like that. But yeah, dude, I really appreciate you, man. Yeah, I feel like you have like a sick rhythm with your, podcast. Felt super comfortable, stoked. Yeah, I feel like you're like killing it. And I love the Avalanche too. But yeah, no, you're gonna be, I feel like you're just gonna have like exponential growth, and like you're gonna be like one of the top. I don't even, dude, to be honest, I'm not sure if you already are the top podcast or whatever. But like, yeah, I feel like you're gonna do like big things, man. I feel like you have like a good personality to like, work with people. I feel like you're very like authentic. So
No, I appreciate that, man. That really means a lot. Definitely not at the top yet. Definitely not at the top, but we're working our way, But no, man, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, no problem, dude. Yeah, and yeah, keep killing it, man. Keep freaking putting out content and interviewing people, and asking the crystal ball. I feel like that's, dude. That question is like deep. It's like holy, like yeah, that's crazy. So,
It's
yeah, man.
and it's a curveball right at the end too. So usually it trips people up a little bit, but
Yeah, see
I've
some
asked
tears and
it
stuff.
for a long time, for years now. I've asked that question, so it's not going anywhere. But no, man, I want to thank you once again for taking time to be on the podcast. I want to thank everybody for listening, whether you've listened the entire way through or you only listen to bits and pieces. I really appreciate you taking time to check this out. Everyone do me a big favor, go and follow Dave. I'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below so you can find it. If you want to follow me, you can find me everywhere on social media at the Jacob Kelly. Feel free to come and say hello. My DMs are always open. As always, today's podcast is powered by Surf. Thank you once again for listening. We'll talk soon.